Fibers and Floss Canada. Welcome back to another episode. Here I'm so excited to share everything I've been crafting and working on in the last 2 weeks. I'll see how I do. I have everybody home today, but it's kind of my last chance to film for the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to it's very thrown together and I'm going to go with it. So there are some pictures at the introduction. If you guys had time to go through them, I hope you enjoyed those. Starting off 2 weeks ago. So you know, when I really recap my last couple of weeks, I've had a bit of a rough time just really getting into my stitching and feeling motivated and wanting to cross stitch. I live in Abbotsford, which is just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, and we're on the West Coast, and it is officially spring. And so, you know, you have that pull to want to get outside, and, you know, I do a lot of power washing and getting the yard ready and that sort of thing. And I want to be out doing that rather than stitching. So I haven't done a lot of stitching, or so I thought. And as I started to gather stuff for this Flosstube, I thought to myself, I've stitched more than I thought I had stitched. So, I will just dive in and show you. I have to say, didn't do my book of days. I haven't recorded in it for 2 weeks. I just, you know, have been out and about and spending time with the kids and not in my usual routine. So rewinding 2 weeks ago, me and my girlfriends had a stitchy trip. We went over to Salt Spring Island, which is one of the islands off the coast of Vancouver. And it's a very fun island. Lots of like artisans live there, you know, crunchy people. It's very like slow life. And it's great. You know, you're there and you just think, this is, you know, this is the lifestyle, right? Everyone's living on oceanfront. It's very slow. It's very peaceful. You're out of that rat race. You trying to film? I'm trying to film, yeah, but I find you. Right now? Yes. I was like, maybe I'll just leave it in here, but now I have to edit this out. That is funny. I lost my train of thought. I've been interrupted here. Right, so it was a wonderful trip away, and in getting there, we have to kind of take a island hopping ferry, or we can take a different ferry that goes to Victoria, and then a smaller ferry into Salt Spring. We opted for that because, as you can see here with this wreath, I shared a wreath previously. Nicole from Simply Fiber, we were able to actually meet up with her in Victoria on the Friday, and we did a bit of a, you know, a shop out of the trunk of her car, and we were able to buy kits for everybody for the weekend. And so we spent the weekend at my girlfriend's place just making all of these kits, and it was so much fun. Again, just very like, you know, it's not structured, it's a very slow process, and it's something we definitely enjoyed. So taking a bit of a closer look here, you can actually see the different types of fibers. So this is all roving. When you shear a sheep, you take their fleece and you wash it. You can dye it or not. And everything in here, I want it to be more natural color. So a lot of this is not dyed. There's a lot of natural color here. You will see there's a little bit of pinks in there too. And I think some of the grays must be a little bit colored, maybe not, I'm not sure about all of them, but as you can see here, it's been a lot of fun to make this. Look at the textures. So you end up with like some locks that are actually from sheep, where it's just, that is shorn sheep hair. It's not processed, it's just washed and dried, and I've kind of put that in there for a texture. And then Nicole had spun some art yarn. So that would be all of this like spiral looking yarn. And so I've been able to add that kind of throughout the piece, all the different colors and stuff like that, as well as different sizes of roving. You can see woven in here, here, and then I've braided some, and then really big pieces. So it's a lot of fun textures going on, a lot of beautiful colors. And this round ring is 19 inches in width, or circumference, I should say. And so it is, it's beautiful, and I currently have it hanging in my living room over my mantle, and I absolutely love it. I think the consensus was that everybody absolutely loved making theirs. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely highly recommend it. I know I'll link Nicole's shop below if it's something that you're curious with. The one tip for everybody that made them over the weekend was just to if you're a structure person, you want to design something with structure and following a particular pattern. They had a really hard time getting going. And then as soon as we were able to just let it go and get in that flow state and just try it out, just weave things through, that's when you got into that really good flow state and able to design something and create something you really loved. So this was really, really fun. Highly recommend trying this. It's definitely a fun craft for sure. While we were at Salt Spring, they have an amazing market, just because of the amount of artisans that live on the island. And we went to the first market of the year, and it was great. Amazing pieces of pottery and art. There are some good treasures that we were able to find there for sure. And if you are local to BC and you haven't been to Salt Spring, I highly recommend you guys go. Okay, so let's dive into what I have been stitching. So I've really struggled this month with feeling motivated and, stitching a piece that just felt good to stitch. And so I have fallen behind on my Shadelane. And I've kind of decided that I was doing monthly assignments, and between, spring break and us being so busy in April with all of our birthdays and Easter and holidays, that I'm just going to kind of give that month a wash. And as of May, I will start what would have been the April assignment. So this is where I'm at. I haven't done a lot of work, but what I have done since you've seen it last is I've added these two ornaments down here, and they're on the bottom, but I'm going to flip them around so I can show it to you with a little bit more detail. So these ones, it's a little bit washed out with the color here. Maybe I'll put some pictures in while I'm talking. They're really fun. So they are the tulips, and then there's petite treasure braid stitched around it, and then there's some back stitching in there. There is no beads attached to that yet, but there will be. And then I don't know, I'm at the point now where, I have to do the other two tulips at the bottom down here. And then from there, it's really just doing some beading around the 4 tulips and around that perimeter edge. And then I'll be caught up for the March assignment. So my goal is going to be to finish that within the first week of May. I'd like to say before that, but we're away. And so I try, although I have goals that I've set, as soon as you start setting goals for things, it becomes work, right? And I still really want to enjoy my stitching and not have it feel like it's work. So I'm at that point right now, which is why I've allowed myself to just have some space, back off a little bit, and stitch it when I'm ready. And because I really want to enjoy the process. It's a very fun stitch. The colors are great. The camera here just doesn't pick up the colors as well as it should. So I hope that you get a better look with the pictures. Now, the next thing I have stitched is an Easter project. So all the details for this one, rather than giving it all here, most of the detail I'm just going to attach in a box below in the description box. I will tell you for the Shadelane though, it is a 32 count lugana. It's just white Zweigart, nothing special. But the stitch counts, the floss information, it's all going to be down in the description box, just because today I didn't have time to write stuff down before my thing. So that was Shadelane, Holland Springtime Mandala. And it's fun too because I'm not the only one that has started a Shadelane this year. That is their first Shadelane ever. So there was a group of us that started January 1st, and it's been really fun to see all the Flosstubers. They kind of dove in, started for the 1st of January, and then took a bit of a break, and now I'm seeing them back out again. And there's some great pieces that are out there. I just love it. I was watching Manvir from Mama Bear stitching this week, and she had shared on her last episode her Shadelane, and she's made it quite far. I I don't want to, maybe a third, a little bit more than a third done maybe. It's hard to tell because of how Chatelaines are. There's so much detail and it's so dense stitching in some areas and not in others. But she's ended up making hers a threaded day just because she was at a point that was not as exciting to stitch. And so she's made some amazing progress this last month. So if you don't watch her, Manvir Mama Bear Stitches, she's got some amazing projects on the go. Okay, so my next project I pulled out is something different. It's called canvas work. And canvas work is very similar to cross stitch, except instead of stitching on an Aida or linen, you're stitching on canvas, which is super similar. Just think of like heavier gridded threads as opposed to like a soft floppy piece of fabric. So this here is called Ukrainian Egg, and this is a Laura J. Perin design. This is something that I had started last year. My heritage on my dad's side is Ukrainian, and so it's fun to, I haven't been in the mood this year, but usually I pull out the eggs and we actually make Ukrainian Easter eggs, and, or I don't know how you, Pasanka or Pasanki. I've seen it both ways, spelt both ways and said both ways. So if you know for sure exactly how to pronounce these eggs, you let me know. But this is a really, really fun stitch. This is the second Laura J. Perin canvas work I have ever done. And I can tell you, it goes a lot faster than cross stitch. So I'll put a picture of where I was before. And this is where I am at now. I just have to think of what goes what direction. This way, is that right? Yes. Okay, so this is where I'm at. Put this in behind here so you can see it. What I was able to do, although I've got it in this frame. So what I was able to do is add this third egg here, and I added all this lattice work as well as the border and the roses, more of this blue, and then I did the full border under here and the border at the top to here. So essentially all I have left to do is just this border work and lattice work on that side. So it's over half done. This was a lot of, I don't know, the stitching, I don't want to say it's a lot of work. It wasn't, it was quite enjoyable. Look at those eggs. The lattice work is super rhythmic when you get into that, right? You don't even have to look at the pattern, you just go. And even down here, if you guys can see that, it's kind of like a herringbone stitch. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. And then there's a rose at the bottom there. And there's a rose in all four corners, as well as in the centers of the piece. And then there are Mill Hill beads that will be attached to that. So this was really, really enjoyable. It won't take long, you know, if I wanted to finish it and do the border work, maybe another 2 days worth of stitching, like 2 solid days. And then there's also like extra black thread that goes around the outside to kind of tie in the black trim from the eggs. So this, again, really enjoyable stitch. It's nice because there is, you know, if you are a fan of specialty stitches, I do recommend trying it out. If you just look at the eggs, there's tons of different stitches there. The instructions are excellent because she does talk about like, so this one here that I just did on the bottom. Now, the first part that you're gonna do is you stitch all the red, and then you stitch the gold yellow, and then you kind of do the blue and green boxes, and then you do the red with red boxes with the white stripes. And then you do the white like fan, the shell looking fan that kind of goes throughout here. And then you do all the black back stitching. And then you take really fine thread and you will do all like the white back stitching inside. And then there's some French knots in the center. And so one of those, like that egg took me about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours maybe, but really enjoyable. And she breaks it down really well too, so it's not intimidating. The whole thing is stitched on, I think it's 14 count mono canvas. I will link the details, but it is used, or it is stitched with the DMC, the number 5 cotton. So those ones look like that. You've probably seen them in your local craft store. They're a little bit thicker. And then the white, the fine white backstitch is the DMC, the number 8, which is a little bit finer. So just using, you know, some new, not new, I've been using it for a year, but just some different materials to stitch with, right, other than the regular floss that we stitch with. So I've definitely enjoyed that. I recommend it. Canvas work is a lot of fun. Very rhythmic. You really get into that flow state. You know, you don't have to reference your pattern all day long. You do a little bit and then you're like, okay, I'm just gonna, you know, do this for another, I don't know, 40 holes, right? So you just follow the pattern for 40 holes and then you go back and you look where I am and then you'll do the next line, right? So it's a fun one, a little bit different in cross stitch, but highly recommend it. All right, so while I was away on Salt Spring, I tried my darndest to get into my Garden Club series. Sorry for the zipper. Now I am on to my next month, and this is Garden Club series number 4 with Blackbird Designs. It's this one here. It's called Sweet Home. It's not my favorite one out of all of them. There's 12, and I don't know what it is about this one, but it just doesn't really do anything for me. I don't know. But that's okay, you know, I pulled it out, I started, and I had stitched maybe a fair bit on here. I don't know, 2 days worth of work maybe. And I stitched it and I had to rip it all out. And I still have to rip out the rest of it. I am ripping out the entire thing, everything I had stitched. So I had stitched a fair bit, about halfway over. And you know what the problem was? Is this is stitched on a 32 count beige by Weeks Dye Works, and I'm used to stitching on higher counts. And so I had pulled it out and I was stitching away, and it surprisingly looked fine. I didn't notice anything. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I've been stitching 1 strand on 32 count and I need 2 strands. And I was like, do I just pull it out? And because I'm gonna stitch all 12 together, I couldn't just leave that. I mean, I guess I could leave the one, but for me, I would notice that that one is different and that would really bother me. So much so that I would have to do something. So I thought about, do I just restitch the whole thing again with 1 more strand? But then, you know, it's a bit more finicky, and I thought, oh, I'm just gonna pull it all out. So I did. So I have spent a lot of time working on this and I have absolutely nothing to show. I need to rip out some more. So what can I say? The one thing I did want to talk to you guys about though, and I thought that this would be interesting to share, is your linen fabric. So when you first get linen, and I know Nicola Parkman has talked about this before, you know, as a stitcher, do you just, when you're starting a new project, do you just pick up your linen, landmark where you need to be, and just start stitching? Or do you guys check your linen? Do you check to make sure, you know, you truly do have enough side, you know, like the selvage edge, are you gonna have enough for framing? And really what we want to know is, was your linen cut properly? And what that means is, you know, when we cut fabric, we will usually take, you know, a rotary cutter, or maybe it might be scissors, and you just cut, or you can cut and rip. And whichever way you're going to get it, you know, it's straightish, right? Depends on, you know, that fabric and where your bias is and what's happening there. But the thing is with cross stitch fabric, when you're looking at whether it's linen or Aida, you know, when you get your linen from the store, is your line that's cut, is it cut perfectly on one of those linen lines that you're going to be stitching off of? There have been some examples where this one is kind of hard to tell because I'm holding on to it. So this fabric here, when I had ordered it, look at the edge here. Do you see how it's like really quite wavy? That was the actual fabric that I got. And you know, getting down to the bottom of the fabric here, it actually came in 1 inch over. And so the reason why I point this out is because what I like to do when I first get my fabric and I think, okay, I need 20 by 20 inches, I measure out my 20 by 20 and I go to my salvage edge, and what I do is I make a little snip. Oh, I don't have a salvage here. A little snip of where my 20 by 20 line is, and then I pull a thread. And in doing that, that means I'm actually going to take one of the threads here and I'm going to just like pull on one individual thread, and the whole thing, that whole line of thread is going to pucker, and you just very slowly keep pulling and you keep working that pucker out with your fingers. And then what's going to happen is you're going to end up with an area with no, this would be no vertical thread. So I've actually pulled a couple here because that's where I'm going to be cutting to have this piece where it is finished and ready to be assembled into the project. But you can see here, this is a true line. We go straight across and straight down. And so I know that my linen there is going to be perfect. And in no way will I end up stitching, because sometimes, you know, if I'm not leaving much of a margin and you don't check this out, you could be stitching along and your fabric might be getting smaller and smaller and smaller this way because of maybe that's how the cut goes, right? The cut's gone on a bit of an angle. You need to make sure that your working fabric is like a full piece that you've measured. I don't know if that makes any sense. I might just take that out, but just something I wanted to share with you guys because I think it's important to do that. And I have done it once. I didn't have a lot of extra fabric on the side, and it was okay because I allowed myself 3 inches of salvage for framing, and so it ended up going down to about just shy of, or just over 2 inches on that piece. So it was all okay. But you know, if you're ever really close and you're not really sure if your piece is going to be just enough for framing, make sure you look at that because it's really important as you stitch your design. I have seen stitchers where they're, you know, their design comes to here and their fabric's getting closer and closer and closer because of how the cut is. So just something to be mindful of. Okay, so far in my month, I haven't had a very productive stitching month, right? I've done a little bit of Shadelane. I have negative stitching on my Blackbird Designs. Yeah, just, I'm not really feeling it. I did a bunch of power washing, just being outside, and knitting. Oh, I've been knitting, let me tell you. But my next cross stitch piece I'll share with you guys. This is Beloved, and this is by Running with Needles and Scissors. This is a gorgeous piece. So all I'm stitching are the birds and the flowers down below. This is, you know, I'm not sure of the stitch count of just this, but overall it ends up being a pretty small piece. The entire piece is like 220 by 252. It is stitched with DMC as well as just a few threads of anchor floss. I have chose to stitch this on brick powder by XJU Designs, and again, I haven't ironed it, but this is where I'm at. So I was able to, I finished that bird last time and I was able to put in the pink flowers down below there. And this one here, it is a vintage, like the design is very vintage, but the colors are actually quite bright, which I'm loving. I'm all about those bright colors, right? So really, really enjoying this. That bird was a lot of work. I've talked about that previously, but the flowers were great. There was some block stitching in there, a lot of fun. So there is some more stitching to be done. My plan is to finish the birds within the month or within the season of spring. And so March 20th to April 20th, I needed to be a third done, and I am a third done, which is great. So I've done this bird and this leaf, that leaf, and these two pink flowers and some of this like green leaf here. So I still have I'll leave a bird for another month, and then I'll do a little bit of the greenery and this greenery here for the third month. So I have till May 20th now to do another good chunk on there. But this one I'm really enjoying. I first saw it from Contented Needleworker Kim. She was the one that had shared this, and I saw it and thought, oh, it's beautiful. It's such a lovely piece. Well, she has finished her piece this week and it is stunning. Absolutely love it. You know, definitely if you don't follow her, you guys need to, because she has such beautiful projects and she loves stitching birds, right? So if you're a bird stitcher, you need to hop on over and go check her out. Highly recommend her channel for sure. Also Phoebe with Moonshine Stitchery, she has started stitching Beloved. And then there's quite a few people as well that are stitching that. So if you're one of those people, make sure when you're posting on Instagram that you use our hashtag, which is Beloved Birds Sal, S-A-L, and that way we can follow your guys' progress on that. And I am following the hashtag and just seeing what people have been up to. So for my next stitch from there, I was like, I didn't really know what to do. You know, I enjoyed the birds, but it just wasn't hitting right. It just wasn't what I was looking for. And so I thought, you know what? It's my birthday. I'm going to pull out Fairy Idol with Mirabilia. And I pulled her out, and the point where I was at, I need to actually stitch her wings. And this is an older design, and there was her wings were just DMC. There's no chronic, no blending filament, nothing like that. And I had thought to myself, I'm going to change her wings and I'm going to make them blending filament and cryonic. And I pulled it out. I pulled out the cryonic that I had ordered with it previously. Like I previously collected a kind of like a tealy blue, and it is not the right color. Her wings are like a minty green. So I pulled out all of my blending filament and all of my my cryonic, my number 4 braid, and I had a couple colors, but they weren't quite right. And I've decided the braid is too heavy. I'm actually going to do a blending filament on that. And so I have placed an order for a few of the greens. So despite pulling it out, looking at it for about 45 minutes, I did not stitch on that on my birthday. And I really wanted to. So yeah, it was a bit disappointing, but then I thought, you know, I've been working on this conversion for a reflet de soie. And this pattern here is Yvonne Leclerc, 1905. And this was something that I had purchased for Christmas. I really love it. This is the original sampler on the front here, and it's very bright. I mean, you look at the colors, very pink, yellows, oranges, but when it has been charted, whether you're using the Soie d'Alger or the Soie d'Alger or the DMC, the colors are quite different in my opinion. Even this row here of her name, Yvonne Leclerc, see how that is like a gold color, I would say? There's 2 colors there. They have charted it in green. And I'm like, what? So I've done a whole conversion for it. I have literally this massive bag of floss. It's just ridiculous. And so I pulled it all out and I thought, I'm just gonna get started on that. Well, I did. Where is my piece I've been stitching on? Good Lord. Hold on. It is here. So I started and I'm not very happy with it. I don't know, maybe it's just the part I'm at. So I didn't work on this much either. I spent maybe an hour on it. I'm stitching, changing my colors, pulling it out again, restitching it. And I was just like, no, it's not doing it for me. So this is what I got done, which is this small little bit here. And I'm stitching this on, oh, is this one XJU? This is plum tuckered out. And I feel like I'm gonna get them confused because one was XJU Designs and one was something else. And I ordered them from Kitten Stitcher and I don't have it on me. It'll be in the box below. So when I looked at the colors of this, I thought this doesn't really look right. I mean, this one color here, it's very minty next to that yellow. And I don't know, but I think it's right. I think I just have to like trust the process and keep on stitching. Because when I look at the actual book, I'm starting right here. And this leaf and that leaf. I don't know if you can, it's not really gonna focus on there, is it? It's kind of like this greeny no, I can't get it. It's kind of this greeny minty with a yellow, and then the brown branches are actually like red. I don't know. So I think what I need to do is actually just commit to stitching it and seeing what it looks like. Stop changing my colors. I don't know. So that was also a bit of a wash. Like, even though, you know, I wanted to do it, it just wasn't feeling right either. And so I was getting a bit frustrated, and I went outside, I did some yard work, I came back inside, and I was like, I don't know, it was just really disappointing, you know. And I felt good going outside. You know, one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was flow state, and I don't know if you know what that is, but when you start doing anything that's kind of like meditative, or, you know, when you get in a state of like you're crafting or you're working on something and you just, everything around you kind of just melts away, and you have no, you're like time blind, you have no idea what time it is, what's happening, you're just so like encaptured by what you're doing. That's called flow state. And when you have achieved flow state, you really can tap into your creative process. You know, you can get creative, you can make some really amazing stuff. You know, I look at the wreath here, and that is flow state weaving 100%. And I'm looking for that flow state, and I just can't quite get it. And I think I know why that is. You know, throughout the winter and the fall, stitching's awesome. You can sit down and you can stitch, and you do get that meditative feel. You can achieve flow state, you know, and then it leaves you feeling really satisfied after. And anyways, I'm not getting that this week at all. And I think it's because it's springtime, and you know, it's been nice, it's sunny outside, and you kind of have this calling to like wanna go outside, right? And so when we think about healing process and meditation and what that does for our levels of stress, you know, in the winter, it's a great way to deal with stress and to be mindful and meditative and all. It ticks all those boxes. But when you can be outside, we know that nature is the #1 way to ground people, right? It's very healing. You know, they talk about like nature bathing, right? If you're having any mental health issues, if you're feeling particularly stressed out or unsettled or anxious or what have you, any of these negative mental health feelings, the best thing you can do is to be outside in nature, rain or shine. And if it's sunny, it's even better. And so I think, you know, feeling this draw to like be outside, and yet I'm also wanting to stay inside and stitch, but this is not satisfying for me. I can't get flow state. And so I went outside, and you know, I made a drink and I sat out on the patio and was just in the sun. Then you end up kind of wandering around the yard and, you know, puttering around, doing a few things, and I felt so much better. And I came back in and I had this like clear state of I know what I want to do. And you know, when I look at I've been kind of in the back of my mind, one of the things that's been weighing really heavily on me is, you know, I was planning a thing to go to the attic with a few stitching friends and do like a private retreat, because none of us are really big on huge, you know, retreats where you're going with 300 other people. Like, I want to go with just a small group and, you know, shop in the store, but not with 300 other people, just maybe, you know, 6 people. And so we were looking at places we could stay. And at the end of the day, I don't know if it's the time to be traveling down to the States for me right now. And so I was like, what can I do? You know, I've been really looking forward to doing that. And I feel the need to like travel and do something. And I decided for my birthday that I'm going to go ahead and book Stitch North again. I was quite disappointed that we ended up canceling the previous Stitch North, and so I went ahead and just booked it, and that's my birthday gift. So I have been able to confirm that I'm going to go for October, the 24th to the 26th weekend. And the reason why I chose that one is because not only is it Canadian, but Jeannette Douglas is going to be there, and I just really love her designs, you know, who she is as a person, supporting someone that's Canadian. I was like, you know, it feels good. And so I decided to book that, and I booked the hotel, and I booked my flight. And so I'm all ready to go. I'm going to be going to Stitch North by myself. If anybody else wants to go, feel free to join. There's been a couple people that have reached out so far saying they're going, so I'm going to be sitting with them, and if anybody else wants to join, please do. I think it will be a lot of fun. And then I thought, you know, I have a Jeannette Douglas that's all kitted up, and I haven't started it, and it's my birthday, and maybe I will start it. And then that way I can take it with me to Stitch North in October as well. So this is Holland, oh boy, Merklap. You guys must really enjoy my pronunciations, I gotta tell you, because I'm terrible at it, right? I hope you get a good laugh. So this is an amazing pattern. It was actually done in 15 something. I can't remember now. It's she had a great write-up on it, and I read all the history. It's owned in a private collection, not Jeannette Douglas's, but she was able to rechart it, and it's a lot of fun. I am, however, missing 3 Glorianas, which I have reordered now from Traditional Stitches, so I'm hoping to be getting those soon. But in the meantime, I've just gone ahead and I have started it. And this is a great pattern. I'm really excited for a couple reasons. So the colors, right? Bright colors, that ticks a box for me. The detail. Look at some of the detail in this stitching. Look at those Frisian letters at the top, A, B, C. I don't know if you can see, but there's 2 white hearts at the top just under those tulips. Those are satin stitches. The inside of the tulips on the inner border, those have satin stitches in them as well. But then when you look here at all of these going across, these are all different stitches as well. And so what happens is, in her write-up, she says you stitch the frame and then you stitch it like you would a band sampler. So I've decided I am going to be stitching in that manner as well. And I was able to start this. So I'll show you where I'm at. I did place an order through Evertotes, Roxy Floss Co, because I wanted to try their fabric. I've never tried it, and I thought it would be a great option for this. Like when I look at this pattern here, there's no modeling. It's like a really soft, like pinky cream. And so I ordered their porcelain, and I ordered 40 count. It calls for 32 count, but I ordered 40, and I've started it. And this is where I'm at. Look at that tulip. It is so fun. It's so beautiful. The colors are great. I absolutely love that. And this, you guys, when I came back in from being outside, I was like, this hits right. This is exactly what I feel like I need to be stitching. On 40 count, this isn't, I'll put the stitch count below because I only brought the cover page down here with me, but it's not gonna be that big on 40 count. Look at that. It's like maybe 8 inches wide. I think it'd be 8 by 10 inches. So a lot smaller than what I'm used to. I'm stitching it with 1 thread over 2 on this one, and the colors are gorgeous. There's lots of variegated colors in here. I'm using all the called for, which is there's silken, is it silken thread or silken colors? There's Gloriana, there's Classic Colorworks, MPI. I think that's it, and I love it. 2 days, and this is what I want to be stitching right now. So yeah, I will definitely get back to that for sure. A lot of fun, that one. And it makes me excited to, you know, this is my first Jeannette Douglas that I have stitched. And just to kind of sample a piece of her work before I go to Stitch North, I think would be a really good idea. I have to laugh because I'm in here filming and I hear this god-awful noise outside and I'm like, what is happening? And I look and I guess we have one of our hose wheels is attached to the side of the house and my husband's, I don't know, tinkering in the yard. I don't even know what he's doing right now, but he is like interrupting me at his finest. I've been interrupted multiple times today. He's so loud. He's got his headphones on and I guess he was putting the hose away so he can cut the lawn. Now he's cutting the lawn. Totally oblivious to like, it should be quiet for a floss tube. Anyways, I'm rolling with it. Now, I have to tell you, I hopped on the Nora Corbett train. Thank you to the thread gremlins. You guys are so bad. Such enablers. So I'm watching the thread gremlins. They're all over the Nora Corbett train right now. And Carolyn's working on one of the, what is it called? What series is this? The Zodiac Girls. And for my birthday last year, my parents actually purchased the Aries one for me and it's fully kitted. I had intentions of starting it on this really beautiful pink and purple opalescent fabric, and I thought I would put it in like an oval frame, and we have a walk-in closet that I want to like change into like a dressing room, and I thought, wouldn't this be perfect in there? And so I decided I'm gonna hop on the Nora Corbett train, I'm gonna pull her out and give her a start. So I did. Now, before I get into it, let me tell you the stitch count on this one. It's quite petite. It's 88 by 158 stitches. It's stitched on 32 count, but I am not using the called for fabric. I have started it on this super, look at this fabric. Oh my goodness. Looks very orange in these areas, but in real life, it's not that orange. Let me see. I saved the sticker. This is Picture This Plus Da Vinci, and it's 32 count. Oh, Crystal Da Vinci on Belfast linen. Now, I am not a fan of Picture This Plus. You know, their linen, it feels nice, but I have to tell you, I don't know what they do in their washing process. We all know that Picture This Plus shrinks a little bit. And so if you have like a 32 count, you could easily buy like a 28 or 30 count, and it's gonna measure out to be that 32. This is a 32 count. It definitely measures like a 36. I'm stitching 2 strands of DMC floss over 2 strands of linen, and it looks like I'm stitching on a 36. They're very fat pieces of, very fat stitches, I may say. So what I have done is I started stitching right smack in the middle, and I decided to do her head. So I've done in the hair, and what you're gonna see is the start of this horn that she's wearing. And I will show you what it looks like. I should have ironed, but like I said, I just didn't have a ton of time today. So I'm just holding up a wrinkly piece of fabric. And that's where I'm at. So it looks kind of weird, right? But, you know, her face here, her head isn't gonna be this big. So her face is here, it's kind of cocked up, and then this is her neck. Her neck goes here, her chest comes out, and then this is her back here. So she's actually pretty petite compared to, you know, that big horn there. It was a lot of stitching. That horn was about, I'd say 1,000 stitches. And one of the things I'm using, which I've never used before, is the DMC Light Effects. I like the fabric, you see that? All those little, the opalescent in there, that iridescent shine. Okay, so first, can we just talk about the fabric? It's gorgeous fabric, right? Like, it's gonna look so good. And I placed her so that, you know, the dark is kind of behind her here, and then the part that's lighter, it's gonna be like glowing off the front of her chest. It's gonna be awesome. Really, really love the fabric. I'll put some pictures in because it's actually a lot pinker than what you're seeing here with this light. But the fabric is terrible to stitch because I was messaging with was it? I guess it would have been Amy with the Thread Gremlins. And I said, you know, it's terrible because one, it's Picture This Plus, but two, when you are stitching on this opalescent fabric, which is gorgeous, look at it, but all of those sparkles, they are like wiry metallic threads that are woven in. So while you're stitching, I ended up using a sharper needle so I could like pierce that. But also like you almost can't see because everything is shiny and reflective and you're like, where's the hole? And then you turn a light on and you're like, oh, you really can't see because now it's so blinding. So I was stitching it in the afternoon in just the afternoon sun. Not directly on it, but in a nice bright space. And I was able to see it much better, but you know, not great fabric to stitch on. That being said, it is looking beautiful. And there are some lovely floss colors that are in here. I'll just show you. Do I have? I do. So I did, I got the bead pack for that one, so that was easy. It's the first time I've ever bought a bead pack for a Mirabilia or a Nora Corbett, so it's nice, it's all together. This is the Light Effects with DMC, and so it's very wiry feeling. It feels like metallic thread. It does not have a soft feel to it at all. See how it just naturally splits all by itself? This stuff is horrid. Like if you thought Kreinik was bad, this stuff is way worse in my opinion. I don't have a problem stitching with Kreinik, but this I did not enjoy. And maybe it was also a little bit more difficult because I'm pulling it through the fabric that's already woven with a fiber that's very similar to this. So it could just be kind of, you know, two bad situations and one just making it a lot worse. I don't know. And then these are the Water Lily silks. Perin Collection Water Lilies. Getting a stuffed up nose. A couple of my kids are sick right now and I'm like, we're going on vacation next week and I'm like, don't make me sick. For the love of God, please don't. I think it's coming. Okay, look how beautiful those colors are, right? So they are beautiful. You know, water lily silks are just like gorgeous. They feel so good. And in stitching that, there is some of it, those colors are coming in. You can't really see here, but in the pictures I have attached, I'm sure you can see it. The colors are coming through here and they're all variegated. It looks really, really beautiful. So yeah, looking forward to working on that some more. I don't know if I'm going to be working on it much more in the next couple weeks, maybe. I think with, you know, me wanting to be outside more, I just have to really, I don't know, I'm a big fan of stitching what you love, doing what feels good, you know, taking things, living in the moment, and so I'll see what comes in the next couple weeks. I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna put that one away. It's beautiful. My daughter Ava has also done one. She did her, I can't remember what my daughter's sign is. That's so bad, right? She is born in March. I can picture it. It's the one with the fish. I'll put a picture in here. It's beautiful. She ended up doing directional beading on it. It's gorgeous. It's almost done. And, oh, sorry. I told her that when she finishes it, I'll frame it for her. So yeah, it'll be great. Now, I should actually just really quick tell you guys about Stitches at the Library. So our next one is in May. The date off the top of my head, I don't have it, so I'll put a little picture in here for you guys. If you guys are interested in coming, please join us. It's a lot of fun. We're really enjoying it. And there's also Knots and Hops as well. And so I'll put a picture of it here. So there's 2 events coming up in May. All the details will be below in the description box. box. If you want more information, you can reach out to Knots and Hop Valley or to Mama Bear Stitching for stitches at the library. It's really fun to get to see everybody, you know, and just connect with other stitchers and crafters in your area. I hope that if you're not in my area, you guys are able to also find other community groups that are close to you, because it does feel, you know, it fills a void for sure, having that social outlet where you can connect and talk with people about, you know, crafting that you love. So speaking about crafting that you love, I was looking, you know, in my whole week of like, I can't get into my stitching. I'm down in my craft space and I was kind of like puttering around, and I pulled out my watercolors and I thought, well, maybe I'll do that. Nope, not feeling it. And then I came across this bowl that I had started, and I talked about it on Flosstube like a year ago maybe, and it is a EPP, so English paper piecing bowl. The pattern I got from Chitter Chatter, and I can't remember the name of the company, but I know that they still have them. And there's tons of patterns for this online if you're interested. And I use some fabric. I don't know if you pronounce it cafe, I don't know. Last name is Facet. I do know that. And I was able to put my bowl together. So this bowl is interesting. So you actually, for the pattern, because it's like a formed bowl and there's some structure to it, these are, I want to say it's interfacing, but it's more of like a really, really thin foam. Not foam, that's not gonna be the right word. Like a really dense felt. And you end up getting two pieces. So you build the whole inside of the bowl, and then you build the whole outside of the bowl. And then you take the two halves and you put them together, and then you just do a quick little whip stitch around the edges. But look what I did. I took a whole bunch of beads I had in my collection and just did a beaded edge on that. Look at that. And so it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but what I ended up doing was, there's a regular size Mill Hill glass beads, and those are like kind of the darker green ones in between. It's like an opalescent greeny black almost. And then these are the number 8 Mill Hill beads. And so, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this one is like teal green, this is pink, teal green, pink, teal green, pink. And so each scallop is a different color. You can kind of see here more. This one's more green, and then you can see the pink. So in real life, this is gorgeous. I don't know what I'm gonna use it for. I have a pattern that was sent to me thanks to Audrey. Now, there is a pattern that was in the All Things Bright and Beautiful box by Hands Across the Sea. And I really, really want to stitch it, but I didn't order the box, and then I regretted not ordering the box, and now everything from the box will not ever be released. And Audrey was talking about it on her channel, and she's Stitch Beads. So if you don't follow Audrey, go watch her videos, give them a like. She stitches amazing reproductions, a huge fan of Hands Across the Sea patterns, and she had mentioned it in a video, and no sooner did she release her video, multiple people reached out and said, oh, I have that pattern, I can send it to you if you like. Now, I'm not going to share which pattern it is yet, because I do want to, you know, give it the honor it should have with the proper, you know, unveiling, showing it and whatnot. But I've ordered the 103s, they've arrived, and they go lovely in this bowl. So I think when I'm stitching that, I'm gonna hold my 103s in this bowl. Otherwise, it's great. I love it. I'm thinking about maybe making another one that stands a bit taller and not such like a wide bowl. I think would be a lot of fun. And this started out as a plane project for me. It was something I could easily take on the airplane. EPP is great for flying because it's just a couple little pieces. It all packed into like a little small, like a thin see-through, you know, plastic case that was less than a 1 inch wide by like 5 by 6 inches. It was nice and small, and it was everything I needed. I took it on multiple plane rides with me, and I was able to just kind of do all the piecework, and then I never actually put it together. So I did this and it was fun. And I did it instead of sleeping one night. I went to bed rather late, but absolutely love this fully finished project. Highly recommend it. Great fun. And it was fun to, you know, I didn't fussy cut, but just seeing how things kind of lined up, right? Yeah, the fabrics are so good. Love his fabric. Anyways, so that's one project. Okay, my last project. So for this one here, I can't put this one down. This is my knitting project. So this is my Go Go Dynamo shawl by Stephen West Knits. I have to say, you know, if you're a knitter, so for a couple years, I kind of admired his stuff from afar, thinking, I mean, I love color, but some of his stuff is crazy. You know, I look at it and think, I don't know if I could wear that. Maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe if the colors were right, you know? And I, for a long time, never tried one of his patterns because I was a bit, I don't want to say intimidated, but I didn't know if I would like constantly changing my stitches. And he does a lot of piecework, right? So I don't know if piecework's going to be the right word for it. It's kind of more like you start with, like, let's say you start with a small like triangle like this, and then you kind of finish your triangle. You don't do anything further on it. Finish your thread. And then you're going to take, along this side, you're going to pick up, I hate picking up stitches, pick up a knit, and then you're going to add more to that original triangle. And then you're going to come up, and then you're going to turn the corner, and you're going to pick up all of these stitches down here, and then you're going to create a fan out, and you know, and then his patterns just kind of grow from there, right? And so to me, I thought, is that going to be complicated? Like, am I going to get into that and just be like, oh my gosh, I just want to knit, and it's all counting and moving and this and that? All this to say, I've tried the Go Go Dynamo shawl. I love it. I don't want to put it down. I want to knit it every day. I've been knitting probably 2 to 3 hours a day that I'm not working, and it has been great. So before I show you what I've done, as I'm going to share a picture of a post I put on Instagram. So I got to the point where I need to do all these little triangles that go around the edge of the shawl, and my thought was two thoughts. So one, I could do it all in a mohair I have that was a gradient that matches the color that I'm using throughout the shawl, or I could go into my stash on my yarn wall and pull down these, like, almost like a rainbow gradient of various colors. And what do you guys think was going to look good? And of course, everyone chose the rainbow gradient, which I really like too, but I was thinking that's going to be a lot of work and managing a lot of balls and blah, 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 and whatever. That's what I ended up choosing. Oh, I'm like mid-row. Well, this won't be ideal to show. It's okay, I'm rolling with it. So I went with the rainbow gradient. I've started it. It looks really good. Sorry, I just have to untangle myself here. Look at these colors, you guys. So I've gone from this like really like a dark bluey green, and it's coming out to a teal, to a lighter green, to a soft, like, it's called crystal. It's kind of like a white with flecks of like pink and like green in it, to more of a soft pinky purple. And now I'm ready to add in my next color, which is going to be a brighter pink. So let me show you what this looks like. I'm just going to unroll it. So a lot of these colors here, oh my gosh, I'm mid-row, so I've got like colors all over the map. Look at these. A lot of these are Tanis Fiber Arts colors. And then these two darker ones at the end. How fun is that? So, yeah, I just am really, really loving this. And so what you end up doing is you're knitting it now. You turn it and now you're knitting this way. So you end up doing this like fan, and then a fan, and a fan, and then a fan. And yeah, that's the crystal. And then this is a one of a kind pink. And then now I'm gonna make my way into the brighter pink. And the only colors that I have left to do are the bright pink, a bright yellow, and then I've got this more like muted yellow, which will go at the end like that. So yeah, I'm kind of approaching the end of that. And let me just show you what that is looking like here. Okay, so we got our fan edge. We've got a couple rows of these like bubble stitching, which you'll really see when you block it out. You have the option, I just don't want to lose all my stitches here. 1 second. I can't remember who it was, but they remarked to my last one. They were like, oh my God, the whole time I was watching you thinking you don't have ends on your needles. You're gonna lose all your stitches. I might. Still don't have anything on the ends of my needles, even though I've got them upstairs. In the pattern, so there is this like eyelet row here, which I've done with a combination of colored mohair as well as just merino wool. And then this is the brioche row with the yellow mohair and the merino wool. And then of course we have the scallops and then the V wedges in between. So when it's blocked and opened up, it's gonna be really, really beautiful. And then so this is gonna be the bottom of the shawl. And so now I'm at the option of adding on a bit of a wavy border, and I am gonna do that as well. So really enjoying this. This is, you know, it's a nighttime stitch for me. So sometimes in the evening, my husband and I will watch a TV program, and I say watch, but you know, I'm really watching my shawl because this isn't a mindless knit. You know, it's definitely, I'm counting every single row that I'm doing. And now that I'm over halfway done the length of these triangles, you know, I've memorized the pattern, but I'm still very much counting. And then at night, because I'm watching a show at the same time, I'm using a stitch marker, moving that every wrap and turn, because I'm like, I'm gonna lose it all, right? I'm gonna forget where I am, I'm gonna muck it up. So I'll attach the description down below with all the different fibers I'm using, but not my stash for that rainbow gradient for the triangles. It's largely Tannis Fiber Arts. Her colors, her yarns are unbelievable. She is from Quebec in Canada, and she even has 100% Canadian made yarn as well. That's from a sheep farm local to her. It's all milled, it's all done right there, and she dyes it. Her husband actually dyes all their yarn, and sometimes their kids dye it too. And she's the knitwear designer, and they both stitch, but you know, she stitches a lot, and she's got a lot of cool patterns coming out right now. So I'll link her as well. And then the whole thing I think is stitched on a size US 4 3.5 millimeter needle. And the gray that I'm using is this Drops brushed alpaca, and it's weird. So I thought that, you know, it's gonna be like my merino or my mohair, but look how thick that is. Do you see that? Like, you can't see me through there. It's thick, it's fuzzy for sure. And I mean, when you look at it, it's thin. Oh gosh, my needles are I'm gonna lose them. It's thin. Oh, it looks really thick there, but it's not. It's very thin. It is a lace weight for sure, but there's just so much loose fiber along here that it's really thick when it knits up for sure. So yeah. All right. I feel like that was really disorganized and all over the map, but I had to just share some of that with you because we're going away, and I just need to kind of get that squared away with you guys, so then now I can focus on getting ready to head out. We're really grateful because in our family, my parents have, you know, they're not fans of buying gifts and materialistic items. for us and the kids. They would rather do experiences. And so if you are, you know, ever contemplating on what to, you know, give your grandkids or your nieces or your nephews or that sort of thing, I mean, yeah, you can always just go buy another toy or whatever. But if there isn't anything in particular that they're looking for, it's a really cool idea to do, you know, experiences with each other. So, you know, for each person, everyone has different financial situations, and that experience might be, you know, a backyard picnic and doing some gardening, or, you know, fishing down at the lake, or, I don't know, going to the movies, connecting somehow, right? Just spending time together. And so my grandparents, when I grew up, they had a home on Gabriel Island, which is just off the coast of Vancouver. And we spent a lot of time there as kids. And when our kids were young, there is a resort there that we love. It's called Pages Marina and Resort. And the couple that owns it, they're from Vancouver, and they moved to Gabriel, I think probably about 15 years ago now. They opened this resort, and it has a big marina down there. And so you know, when our kids were little, my father-in-law would bring his boat out for a week, and we'd stay there for a week and just be out on the ocean, fishing every day, kind of eating whatever we catch for dinner that night, and it was a lot of fun. But we haven't done that in a few years, and we're going to be heading back to the same cabins next week. So it'll be a lot of fun doing that. My sister's coming as well with her little boy. So this is our big, like, family birthday present, is we're all gonna go for a week there with my parents. And so I'm really looking forward to that. My next video I might be able to share a little bit about what we've done. And Gabriel is also a very similar island to Salt Spring. There's a lot of artists that live on the island. At the same time, my middle son will be doing a music retreat there for his fine arts school. He is a music major, and so they're studying on the island for a few days, and they have a concert there, so we'll get to attend that. And otherwise, it's just kind of slow living, you know, on the ocean, hanging out, drinking good coffee, and connecting with each other. So we'll have a lot of fun with that, and hopefully I'll be able to share some video footage next time. I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing stuff because I feel like everything's been very all over the map, but yeah, I hope it was okay for you guys and it didn't come across as disorganized as I feel it was. Anyways, look forward to talking to you guys again in a couple weeks. Once things kind of settle down, I really want to get that video out on some backstitching and backstitching tips. So hopefully I'll be doing that soon. Yeah, otherwise, I hope you guys find that flow state. Do whatever is calling to you and get outside. Hopefully it's sunny where you're living and you're starting to see the signs of spring. Take care, guys. Bye for now.